Ever feel like the world's just kind of like, throwing up these roadblocks in your way? Like maybe it's a sign. Like maybe you should just give up on that big dream. I
Yeah,
think we've all felt that way, at some point.
definitely.
But what if those tough times, those moments when you just want to throw in the towel? What if those are actually the key ingredients to your success?
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? We often view adversity as something to avoid, something to fear,
Right.
but in reality, it's often the crucible that forges resilience, right?
Yeah.
And sets the stage for remarkable achievements.
That's exactly what we're diving into today, the story of Sagar Akram,
Oh, absolutely.
entrepreneur, speaker,
Yeah.
mentor.
Yeah.
Those titles are impressive, but they don't even scratch the surface.
Right.
This is someone who launched his first business at 16 in Pakistan, facing financial challenges that would make most adults just crumble. I mean, can you even imagine the pressure of that?
Yeah. And here's where things get really interesting. Early on, Sagar had this online store selling mobile accessories.
Okay.
He was pouring his heart into it, but the sales just weren't coming.
Oh, wow.
It had been so easy to just give up, to
Yeah.
say, well, maybe business just isn't for me.
Right, right.
But but that's not what he did.
Oh, okay, but isn't embracing failure a bit simplistic? Like how do you actually learn from it? Most people, they would just feel defeated.
That's the key difference, isn't it? He didn't just shrug it off and say, oh, well, I failed, let's move on.
Right.
He dove deep into why the store was failing. He realized he hadn't really understood his target market.
Oh.
He was so focused on the product, he forgot about the people he was actually trying to reach.
So he used that failure as a wake-up call, a chance to kind of examine his approach.
Precisely. And that's a perfect example of the growth mindset in action.
Okay.
It's not about some magical ability to never fail. It's about seeing setbacks as data points,
Hmm.
as valuable feedback that helps you course correct.
So instead of thinking I'm a failure, he thought, what can I learn from this? That's a huge mental shift.
Absolutely. And it's a shift that anyone can make.
Right.
It's not about some innate talent. It's about rewiring your thinking to see challenges as opportunities for growth.
Okay, but let's be real. Easier said than done, right? Especially for our listeners who might be, feeling stuck, facing those self-doubts. How do you even begin to cultivate that kind of inner strength? Where do you even start?
That's such an important question, and it's something Sagar himself emphasizes, right? Inner strength isn't about just, gritting your teeth and powering through.
Right.
It's about actively investing in your own growth.
Yeah.
For Saga, that meant seeking out mentors who had navigated similar challenges, constantly reading and learning, pushing himself outside his comfort zone.
Yeah.
He realized that knowledge and skills are like armor.
Oh, I like that.
They protect you from those blows of self-doubt.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. You're not just relying on willpower. You're building a foundation of competence.
Exactly.
It makes me think about.
And that brings us to another crucial strategy Sagar employed,
Okay.
building a support network. He actively sought out mentors and connected with other entrepreneurs.
That's interesting, because we often think of entrepreneurs as these lone wolves, these mavericks.
Right, right.
But even Saga realized he needed people in his corner.
He did.
It's like having a team of coaches cheering you on from the sidelines. Yeah.
Exactly. And those mentors provided him with invaluable guidance, encouragement, and sometimes a much needed reality check.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle.
Okay.
A strategy I think our learner listeners will really appreciate. Setting incremental goals.
So we've been talking about building inner strength and finding mentors, but what about those big, audacious goals? The ones that can feel so overwhelming you don't even know where to start.
Yeah, that's where Sagar's approach to goal setting comes in.
Okay.
He realized that trying to tackle a massive goal all at once can be, well, it could be paralyzing.
Right.
Instead, he broke those goals down into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah.
Let's say your goal is to learn a new programming language.
Okay.
Instead of saying, I'm going to master Python in a month, which can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
You could break it down into weekly milestones, right? Week 1, learn the basic syntax. Week 2, build a simple program. Week 3, tackle a more complex project.
That's a that's a great example. It's like creating a roadmap for your goal.
Well, remember that online score failure we talked about earlier?
Yeah,
That was just the beginning.
you're right.
He went on to build successful businesses in construction and dairy, even e-commerce again. But this time, he was armed with the lessons he'd learned.
Wow, that's quite a diverse portfolio. So
Yeah,
he didn't just stick to one area. He was constantly pushing himself outside his comfort zone.
exactly. And each venture built upon the last,
Interesting.
those early financial struggles. They made him a meticulous financial manager,
Mm-hmm.
laser focused on cash flow and smart investments. The rejections he faced, they honed his communication skills and made him persistent, even in the face of doubt.
So it wasn't just about bouncing back from setbacks. It was about using them to propel him forward. That makes me think about a time when I was trying to, oh, well, let's just say it wasn't my finest hour. I
Yeah.
felt so defeated, like I'd hit a wall.
Right.
But but looking back, I realized that experience taught me so much about resilience,
Yeah.
about pushing through those tough moments.
And that's exactly what Sagar embodies.
Yeah.
He not only built successful businesses, but he also founded the Sagar Akram Academy to share his knowledge and empower aspiring entrepreneurs.
So he's taking everything he learned, all those hard-won lessons, and paying it forward.
Precisely. He's created a platform to provide mentorship, foster a sense of community, and help others cultivate their own resilience.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, look, I've been through the fire. I know how tough it can be, but you don't have to go it alone. Let me help you navigate those challenges.
Exactly. And that brings us to those three key elements of resilience we touched on earlier: inner strength, optimism, and adaptability.
Right.
Let's dive a little deeper into how those played out in Sagar's later successes.
Okay, let's unpack those. First up, inner strength.
Okay.
I remember you mentioned it wasn't just about willpower, but about actively investing in your growth.
Right?
How did that manifest in Sagar's later ventures? So inner strength, it's about more than just having a can-do attitude, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for Sagar, it was about constantly expanding his knowledge and skills.
Okay.
When he decided to move into construction, a completely new field for him, he didn't just dive in head first.
Right.
He took the time to really understand the business, connecting with experienced mentors in the industry, immersing himself in best practices.
So it was that combination of drive and a strategic, almost studious approach.
Yes.
He wasn't just relying on passion. He was backing it up with expertise.
Precisely. And that's a hallmark of successful entrepreneurs like Sagar.
Oh yeah.
They understand that inner strength is about coupling that positive attitude with a commitment to continuous learning.
Right. Okay.
But inner strength is just one part of the equation.
Yeah.
Let's move on to optimism.
Okay.
Now, this isn't about ignoring the very real challenges out there, right?
It's more about having a belief that you can navigate those challenges, that there's a way forward even when things get tough.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and his foray into the dairy industry is a great example of this.
Okay.
It was a brand new field for him, and a lot of people were skeptical.
Yeah.
But Sagar remained optimistic.
Okay.
He believed that with the right approach, he could build a successful business, and he set out to prove those doubters wrong.
I'm sensing a pattern here. This
Yeah.
this wasn't just blind faith. It was a driving force behind his actions.
Yeah.
So how did that optimism actually play out in this case?
He tackled the dairy industry with the same meticulousness he'd applied to his previous ventures.
Right.
He researched the market, identified a gap, and developed a unique value proposition that made his business stand out from the competition.
Interesting.
And it worked. But, the world throws curveballs.
Yeah.
And that's where adaptability comes in.
That makes sense. It's like you can have all the inner strength and optimism in the world, but if you can't adapt, you're gonna get stuck.
Right, exactly.
I'm guessing Sagar has a good example of adaptability in action. Maybe even something our listeners who are dealing with unexpected changes right now can relate to.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Remember that e-commerce venture he circled back to?
Yeah.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it threw everyone for a loop.
Right.
Supply chains were disrupted. Customer behavior changed overnight.
Yeah.
Many e-commerce businesses struggled, but Sagar was able to pivot quickly.
I'm fascinated by by how he managed to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What specific tactics did he use to adapt during such a turbulent time?
He shifted his focus to products that were in high demand,
Okay.
things people really needed during lockdowns.
Right.
He found new suppliers when the old ones faltered,
Hmm.
and he came up with innovative marketing strategies that resonated with customers in that new reality.
So instead of getting bogged down by the disruption, he used his adaptability to not just survive but thrive.
Yeah.
That's incredibly inspiring.
It really highlights how important it is to be flexible in a world that's constantly changing.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the core of Sagar's
Yeah.
story.
Okay.
He demonstrates that resilience, optimism, adaptability, these aren't just, buzzwords.
Right.
They're tools that can be learned and honed to achieve remarkable things.
His journey is a testament to the power of personal transformation. He didn't just achieve external success. He built himself up along the way.
Right.
And what I love is that he's not keeping those lessons to himself.
He's not.
Through the Sagar Akram Academy, he's empowering others to cultivate their own resilience.
Exactly. He's proof that those tough times, those moments when you want to give up,
Yeah.
they might just be the catalyst for something truly extraordinary.
So for our listeners out there who are facing their own mountains to climb, remember Sagar's story.
Yeah.
Resilience is a journey, and it starts with a single step.
Right.
What's one small setback you've been avoiding? How could you apply Sagar's approach to turn it into a stepping stone?
Remember, even small shifts in mindset can make a big difference over time.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive into Sagar Akram's incredible journey.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and a renewed sense of possibility. And
Yeah.
remember, keep learning, keep growing, and never underestimate the power of resilience. For joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep into the things that matter most to you.